Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Koki Otaku. Today with us, we have a very special guest. He voices Seojun Han in the super awesome, criminally short True Beauty, Giulio Gandini in My Hero Academia, You're Next, the movie, Flio in Chilling in Another World with Level 2 Super Cheap Powers, and Orland Langston in the super cute Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. So without any further ado, please give it up for Mauricio Ortiz Segura. Woo!
Thank you so much for the introduction.
Thanks to you for joining us today, tonight, whenever you're watching this episode. It's a pleasure to have you today here. And I say tonight today because we usually record during the night. But today's like kind of early, so I'm like, wait, I got lost with the sunlight. And I'm not ready for the daylight saving change. Like, that's going to hit me so hard.
No. I mean, are we gaining an hour or losing an hour? I don't remember.
We're gaining an hour. All I know is our cat is going to be like, if the food was at 7, it's now going to be at 8. And he's going to suffer 1 hour.
Oh, poor cat.
That's kind of fun. Pets get so mad with the daylight saving time because they're like, wait, what? It's 5 o'clock. Why is not here that food? Why is it taking so long? And they go to aggressive mode. Like, why is so late?
Oh, dogs are the same, man. If you've got them on a schedule, and they'll start like picking up their bowls and like slam them in your face. I'm lucky enough. My dog, he's a little dumb. He only eats if I'm like near him. So if I'm like gone all day and then I come back, he hasn't eaten like all day. So he just waits around for me. And I love him, but I wish he wouldn't do that because he has to eat. So I don't know.
So you can't leave him like pet sitting or anything because he won't eat?
I mean, if someone comes and like watches him, he will eat. But if no one's there, he'll just like... He'll wait until he's super hungry and then he'll eat. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like the poor guy's gotta eat. I want him to eat.
That's real loyalty. And talking about loyalty, one of the latest series in anime and Crunchyroll, which is a blast. Okay, finally, if you like novela, if you have some Hispanic relative bloodline, if you're like third generation, your great grandma is Hispanic and watch novela, this is the one with the most juicy, with the tea. Talking about True Beauty, when you had the character of Seojun
Han.
Seojun Han.
For those who haven't seen this drama all-out series, how would you describe it, Mauricio?
I would describe it as a fun love triangle experience. It's almost like a classic, like, telenovela, you know, like just fun animation. You know, there's lots of drama, lots of backstory that you wouldn't expect these characters to have. But I mean, you've got Seojun, who's like this like bad boy sort of image, and then you've got Suho, who's like this very sort of mono emotion. You know, he's like always on like this level, and he'll never leave that level ever. And then you got Young, who's all over the place. She's like airheaded, she's quirky, she's she's a lot of fun to watch because the person who plays her in the dub, Rebecca Dene, does a fantastic job. I adore the dub because I think we're just having a lot of fun with it.
And I know there might be some anime fans out there. They're going to say, "Oh, but it's not anime because it's not from Japan." I don't care, guys. It's on Crunchyroll. It looks like anime. I welcome it open arm as an anime series because the drama is on point. They have a lot of characteristics of anime. Only that, like I mentioned, from Korea, which should make it very interesting because we're seeing some elements very different that you're like, okay, I feel the Korean. I mean, just the name. I cannot pronounce the name. I have a hard time with Japanese name. Now add the Korean, I'm like, I can't. I'm having a hard time to reading the names, pronouncing it.
Right.
So,
yeah. It's the same way with Solo Leveling. If you remember Solo Leveling,
Yep.
it came from a webtoon or a Korean webcomic, and all the names are in Korean. All the names are in Korean, even though they did it in Japanese for whatever reason. But all the names are in Korean, and so But would you consider Solo Leveling an anime? I would consider it an anime. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck. I mean, it's probably a duck, or at least a really, really good looking thing.
I'm having a hard time with the names. Background story, guys, for those who doesn't speak Spanish yet. So, Japanese and Spanish, you're very similar, especially when we read the names, the pronunciations. It's very one-to-one. If I read, thank you. If I read the name in Spanish, Japanese, it's at 80% going to hit it right. Now, Korean, that rule doesn't apply. So I'm like, okay, we're starting from square one here. Square zero. So, in the case of Seojun, how do you describe this character, which is a very interesting element in this series?
So, I think Seojun is the lowest I've ever gotten to go for a voice, because I wanted to match. I wanted to be closer to the Korean voice, because for some reason in Korea, you've got to have like the deep, like gravel of. I'm trying to think of an actor who just has a real who's that? Who's that?
The one who just passed away, Mufasa.
Yeah, like
Israel
you
Joe.
gotta have like a super deep voice like him, but you gotta sing like super high up like an angel, And I can hit both ranges, so I went a lot lower for his voice, but I also wasn't afraid to like go a bit more into that mid-low range for some of the more comedic bits, because I know when I talk and I try and be funny, my voice like shoots up just a little bit. So they don't really do that in the sub, so that's like a dub liberty that we've decided to take. And I think it works for his character. You don't usually meet high schoolers who sound like they're 40-year-old men, and
True.
So I wanted to take that liberty and do that for him. But Seojun's been a lot of fun to play, just because of he sort of falls in that ballpark of characters that I have played before, that are very like broody and edgy. And I don't know why I keep getting cast as these guys. I don't mind at all, though. I love playing the edgy, broody teens, or the more like calm, collected-ish characters. But as you go through True Beauty, Seojun gets a lot less calm and collected. He gets a lot more animated, and his character comes out, which is really fun. You don't really get that in some of these characters, but. Other characters that I've played, also somehow like sort of fall into that ballpark that Seojun's in. So he's sort of like another evolution of the roles that I've typically been playing, because I'm gonna have like 13 episodes to play with him, which is really, really cool.
Quick question: have you had a chance to read the webtoons?
I haven't finished them. I tried to read like the first 40 chapters, and then I got caught up in like work and stuff, and so I just haven't had the chance to sit down and read them. But I have heard many things about the endings, and many things about who ends up with who, and who's favorite boy. That's what I heard a lot when I first got cast. You're like, yeah, you're like the favorite boy. I'm like, I am? Like, that's cool. I mean,
all right. I do have to say something, guys. When I say this show is criminally short, I mean it is not the regular 23 minutes or 30-minute whatever show. It's 18 minutes, and we're always wanting for more. I say this because I rarely watch an anime and they say, oh, I like it so much, let me go and see the source material or read the source material. I did so for True Beauty. I have not finished it though, but I did so. What I found out was on the internet, they were like bashing the anime because it was nothing like the webtoon. I'm like, okay, I really, really like the anime. It's like really good. Pacing wise, it's great. Now, I do understand the fact that they said, oh, you don't grasp too much. How Soo-young, she gets along with the guys and their backstories. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I do wish, however, that they would incorporate a little more into the anime just to make it a little bit longer because it is that good. For you, Mauricio, because you've read part of the webtoon. How do you feel about that discrepancy, I would say? Because I was surprised, honestly, when in the webtoon they would show a lot of things. Okay, in the anime they show things that they don't show in the webtoon, at least as far as I gotten. And I really like the anime for that. Whereas in the webtoon, we see other things that we don't see in the anime, and you're like, oh, she's like really evil. I'm talking about the main antagonist here. Yeah. I forgot her name though. But in your opinion, Mauricio, how would you say like this discrepancy plays out for you?
So, I have heard a lot of things about how the anime is like super different. I haven't seen the K-drama, so I don't know if the K-drama follows the web.
I haven't seen it either.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it follows the webcomic 1-to-1 either. I can't tell if they're trying to wrap up the story just off season 1. So
I really wish they did it because I'm saying it's so good.
It's got a fun premise. You know, it's like classic high school, but it's also like I don't know. It's almost like it's got like a almost supernatural slice of life thing going on with the Seibon goddess competition thing. That's real funny. But by the same time, it's just like normal high school drama. But I've heard a lot of the discrepancies. I know that like the main villain, her name is Sujin Kang. She for some reason she gets introduced like episode 1, and in the webcomic she doesn't show up till like chapter 20. And so they're really like speeding up the story here. I can't tell if they're trying to get to a nice stopping point by the end of the season. I don't know if they're shooting for a season 2. I don't know if they're trying to do something. I know that we do get 13 episodes as opposed to the normal 12 that a lot of shows have been getting. So I guess they realized that 13 was needed to, I guess, have a satisfying conclusion to season 1. And we did some digging. And it turns out that this is, I believe, the studio that's making this anime's first anime ever. And so if there are like some animation things or like sub voiceover things in the Korean that maybe you don't agree with, this is their first project ever. So you know, I guess they give them a tiny bit of leeway. You know, I don't know how experienced the staff were when it came to creating any sort of animated project. But I did like that Korea was like, you know what, we have so much Korean content that gets animated into Japanese. Why don't we just animate it ourselves? And so taking it with such a big IP like True Beauty is definitely a risk. Because it's such a beloved IP for a lot of people who read it back in the day when it was still running. I guess I'd have to read more of the webcomic to know if I like disagreed with some of the anime takes. But I feel like for some of the things that I thought they introduced a little early for what I read, they did manage to make them work for this season. It doesn't. A lot of the things don't feel terribly forced, I don't think. So I hope that, you know, if you read the webcomic and you really, really liked the webcomic and how it was paced, which I doubt because a lot of people said it was padded by the end of it. A lot of people, a lot of people said that it was like padding towards the end. He's like, and some people were like begging for it to end.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
This happens always, by the way. So as a being a very open mind in the anime industry, let's be very sincere here. All adaptation always has some critics because adaptation cannot be 1-to-1 in the 90% of the time, guys. And now let's add, I have my suspicion, now you confirm. It's a beta project, it's a first-time project. Project like this one, you have managed fundings, you cannot go all out and go to bankruptcy in the first project. So it's smart to go slow, just slowly dipping your toes in the water. So guys, always say, for example, case closed, the guy from, I think, the one, guilty, the meme, the guy from that was, forget the name. Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
One is very critical because in the video game, there's way more than anime. Guys, there's like 3 video games. You cannot make an anime of each episode. So this is normal, the adaptation. You can go 1-to-1. You still cannot understand it. Go watch Oshinoko Season 2. That will explain you how a anime cannot go into a play loyal by the book because then the play going to fail. It's the industry, guys. So just enjoy the show. Learn to enjoy. If you don't like it, say, oh, well, and we'll read again the webtoon and feel better. But come on, guys, we need to give space for industry to grow, especially with Korea making the entrance to the market. And guys, entering, this is not just buying crypto coins and jumping in. It's way more big than this. But jumping to the market, going to the next thing you're going to talk about in the big screen. One of your entrance to the big screen, one of the series, My Hero Academia, with the latest movie, My Hero Academia. You're next with the character of Giulio Gandini. Okay, many people know about My Hero Academia. Tell me about the experience being in the big screen in My Hero Academia with Giulio.
Oh my goodness. It's been such an awesome experience. Because I didn't think I would get to accomplish something like this early in my career. So getting to play a role in a franchise as important as My Hero Academia is to a lot of people, me included, it's been a dream come true in a lot of ways. I can't thank Mike McFarland and Zach Bolton enough for wanting to bring me on for this movie. It was funny when I went in to record, I did 3 sessions for 9 hours, and oh man, it was funny because the second I got in there, Mike immediately told me the story, my character, and everything. He lore dumped me with everything regarding this film, and I was like, all right, I guess I get the movie now. And it's interesting having to go into record for a movie, or a movie, because there's no source material. The source material is My Hero Academia, but you can't like read chapters like 110 through 130 to understand where your character fits in. I have to just off the dome cold read every single line that he's doing. So a lot of those reads that you see in the movie are the first time I read those lines. And it was a challenge in a way, because I had to both understand Giulio's character and perform him to my best ability, as if I had known this character like my whole life, like I was this character for my whole life. And so it was definitely an interesting challenge that I hadn't undertaken before, but it was absolutely worth it. The fan response to Giulio has been so sweet. I have fan edits of my character. I never thought that would ever happen, which is really funny. I'll just be scrolling TikTok and I'll see like a Giulio fan cam, and I'll be like, absolute cinema. I mean, come on. I love this. I love that fans want to like reach out to me and like congratulate me or like thank me for being in the movie. I'm like, you don't gotta thank me, man. I did this for me, but I appreciate y'all. And I also do it for the fans. I do it because I know how important my hero is to everybody. And if you don't give the dub for my hero is so well known. for how good they are, and so I can't just like pop in and do a crappy job. I gotta I gotta meet their expectations, and so it's been a real dream come true. Everything involving.
From the voice actor perspective, how do you describe Giulio?
Giulio is actually a character that I would say fits a lot into my typecast, so it makes sense that I was cast as him. He is broody, he is edgy, he is eventually those layers, that broody side gets peeled back and you see more of his personality. Even before his big like, nah man, I'm not as calm and collected as you think I am moment, he does have like little hints of like personality where he's like joking with Deku. He's like, yeah, if they shoot at me, I'm just gonna use your body as a shield, just like little jokey moments like that. I think really highlight that Giulio is not the super broody guy that we make him out to be. And so in that way, he's a lot of fun. He's not terribly vocally strenuous as a voice actor, which is very nice. I love not hurting my throat whenever I have to play a role. Don't get me wrong, those roles where you have to go like absolutely insane with your voice are a blast because you feel like you're really putting in the work that day. But I never felt like, oh my god, my throat's about to fall out of my mouth, which is very nice. I do like getting to play a character that's important and not vocally strenuous at the same time. Because that means I can do auditions and other stuff in the meantime while I wait for my next gig.
Did you see the character evolution happening? Like, did you knew it was going to happen, or did it surprise you?
Giulio's in the movie?
Yeah, in the movie, because we have first a Giulio very, it looks very more like, I call I forgot the name of this, the Terminator. He looks more like a robot, mission oriented. We're going to kill her because it does. And then at the end, you're like, oh my god, this guy have a very sentimental background. Did you see that evolution happening, or did it surprise you?
It didn't surprise me because Mike immediately told me what the twist with his character would be. It didn't surprise me, but it was really fun to see it on the big screen for the first time. Because I don't know, I'm a big fan of like the broody, edgy types, and then they're like, oh, actually, I'm a big softie. I actually really care about my friends or whatever. Like I'm a big lover of that trope. It's a trope for a reason, and I mean, Giulio, he's a big sweetheart at the end of the day. All right, you might have to wait till the end of the movie to see that, but
Definitely. And going from heroes to reality, let's talk about Mauricio. How do you make it to the anime world? Because we can we have a few main characters already out there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very, very lucky to book those main characters. I can't thank the directors enough for believing in me. I would say four long roles with four different directors, all believing in me at the same time, which is hilarious. Because I don't know, when you start off on your journey, like, oh, am I any good? I don't know if I'm a good actor, man. I kind of suck, There's always those moments of like a self-deprecation that you do, like your own ego death. And it's good because you shouldn't have an ego in this industry. It's a good way to get everybody to not like you. But it's certainly been a journey. This did not happen overnight. This has been, I think, a good 2 years of work specifically trying to break into anime to make it happen. I had my first class regarding anime, I think, in August of 22. And so it has been 2 years. It's been like 2 years. And then that was with Chris Rager, who was fun. Good beginner class, I would say. Then I had my second class with Sunny Strait, voice of Krillin, voice of Usopp. And he was the one who told me specifically in class. He like singled me out. And I felt kind of bad because there were other people in the class, but he he singled me out, and he was like, you keep going, you're gonna make it into anime. I'm like, okay, and thank you. And so and that was me just at the very beginning. So like, okay, so I'm doing the right thing, I can make this happen. And then especially because I live in Dallas, Texas, that makes it a lot easier to, you know, work in studio for Funimation, which is also in the DFW area. And so Funimation, which is defunct, which is now Crunchyroll because it got bought out. But Crunchyroll is in there. Some people still call it Funimation around then. But I started looking for in-person classes that would get me in front of directors that could hopefully either point me in the right direction, teach me something I had never learned before, or even serve as networking for things. So that's a big thing about taking workshops and classes, is the networking aspect. Getting in front of directors is so big. It's a lot bigger than people think. Because getting in front of someone in person is infinitely better than getting in front of someone over the camera in terms of workshop, because it's hard to remember everybody. You know, it's hard to remember everybody. So if you've shaken somebody's hand as opposed to just like seeing them through the screen, it immediately creates a better image of you in the director or casting director or actor's mind, so that they remember you. And eventually, it was about another good couple months of classes. I'd say 6 or 7 months of classes specifically for anime, both online and in person. And it was one Jason Lord who brought me in. I have so much respect for Jason, and I really appreciate him, because he's the guy who I think has believed in me for most of my career. Here in anime specifically. In anime specifically, it was Jason who brought me in for my first role. Some people get brought in for Walla their first go around. I was lucky enough to get brought in for a named role, which was a little more nerve-wracking. I got brought in for the Grocer in Dead Mount Deathplay, and that couldn't have been, I think, the easiest starter role I could have been given, because he just talks like this, and you never see his mouth, and his eyes don't even like really move. And so this is just like, I'd just be dubbing over that, you know, and it was basically just narration at that point. So if I could, and he knew of my history as an anchor for television news, and so he knew that I could at least read that, you know, like off the prompter and stuff. This was like hardly any different, because he didn't have any lip flaps. And so that was a really awesome experience. In fact, for my first session, I came in and said one thing, and he wasn't even on screen, and then I left. It was a really funny first experience, because I was so nervous, and I was only in there for 2 seconds. But yeah, he's believed in me the most. He cast me again, I think, the season after, and then he cast me in my first lead role ever. So I'm super appreciative of Jason for really exposing me to everybody at Crunchyroll, and telling them that, hey, this guy knows what he's doing, you know. And so he really stuck his neck out for me, and I'm glad. I hope I've been meeting his expectation, and proving that he was right in bringing me in and saying that I'm a decent actor.
So are you still a news anchor?
Technically right now, yes, I am. I'm a news anchor over at North Texas Television for the University of North Texas. I'm in my last semester, finishing out my career, my degree.
So when you compare being a news anchor with voice acting, do you see them very similar, or do you see them like different environment?
They are different, because news is a lot faster. With anime, it's like how I would compare rugby to American football. In anime, there's a lot of stop and go, lots and lots of stop and go. That's football, American football. In news, there's you know, and you never stop. You can't stop, because then the whole flow is awkward. That's rugby, you know? And so television news can honestly be harder sometimes. I feel like I flub sometimes a lot more on news than I ever do on anime. Because in anime, you do get to pre-read some of the stuff in news before you read it live on the air. But for anime, you know, you get to read the line beforehand, and then they will ask, do you need a second? And you can say, no, I'm good, I'll go. Or you can just like have at it and hope it works out. So they're two similar games, but also different at the same time.
Makes sense. And now that you mentioned the ra ra ra, so you're bilingual. Are you first or second generation from Mexican parents?
First generation. My parents were immigrants from Mexico.
So many bilingual, especially first generation or Spanish speaker, we of the first thing that everybody mind cross is accent. Mm-hmm. We all assume we all have accent. We all have accent. Don't matter. Only that when we get familiarized with people with the same accent, we stop hearing it. But by any point in your career, do you fear that the accent will be a wall in your career?
A wall? Good question. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, there's the thing with like accents, you know, like I've done I've done Chicano accents, Castellano accents, Mexican accents. I've done all sorts of accents for lots of video games and animation, and it's interesting because, you know, you don't want to get trapped into that box that you're only, you know, like, you're the Mexican. Do the Mexican for it, you know, like you don't want to get trapped into that box, I guess. As a typecast that you only do like maybe slightly more stereotypical roles, because I mean they do pay the bills, but I mean, you know, I don't want to just have to play like the Mexican thug like in every video game that just happens to have one, you know. I've been lucky enough to wean off my Hispanic accent, actually, because I did grow up having one. I grew up having one, and Spanish was my first language. So I straight up could not speak English for a good majority of my life. When I went to preschool, I couldn't even communicate with the teacher. She just looked at me and she's like, what do you want? What do you want? They were like, I wouldn't know what to say. But because I was in American schooling for so long, I actually lost my Spanish for a bit. And so in high school, I took the hardest courses, the AP courses in Spanish specifically, because I hated AP. But I really wanted to bring back my Spanish because I feel like Spanish is important for the Latino identity. You know, whether you like are fluent in it or understand it fluently, you know, just like a knowledge of the Spanish language, I feel is very important, at least for my identity. And so I fought hard to get it back, because I still have like a slight American accent on some of the things I say, but I always feel so honored when I talk to other Hispanics and they were like, "Oh, you're from Mexico." Yes, thank you. They say I sound like I'm from Mexico City, which is where my family lives. So Mexico City and Chihuahua and Juarez and all these places. We're all over the place. But the Mexican Mexico City accent has actually come in handy for some things that I booked, which is nice. And I get told a lot that I really don't have an accent in Spanish or American. They're both kind of like, well, I have a neutral Mexican accent in Spanish. But in American, it's very neutral. Like, I guess, and neutral is sort of like the Midwest-ish, I suppose. You'll see neutral American on a lot of auditions. That doesn't really mean anything. It just means that, like, you just, I guess, talk like you're from the Midwest.
I wonder why that is supposed to be like the neutral American accent. I've never known.
I don't know. There's so much variety in America. there's no such thing as a neutral American. You know, neutral American in New York will be like a guy who talks like this the whole time. You know, people tell me I sound like I'm from Chicago, which is hilarious because I've never been to Chicago. I get comparisons to Pete Davidson sometimes. I don't know where that's from. That was a huge surprise to me when I was first told that. But I get told I'm from Chicago. I guess Chicago is sort of this neutral American idea. But I don't know. I didn't create the industry. I don't know why. I guess the Chicago accent was determined to be the most neutral of the American accents.
That's so interesting.
I heard the story about the Spanish neutral accent in North America, not in Mexico, because apparently what I hear from other podcasts, not anime related, but industry related, but the neutral accent, it happened to the Midwest because at that time, most of the big production, especially dub, were happening in that area. So one time, because all production were coming all from the West area, kind of from Miami, they decided to get together and say, okay, so because all production are coming from here, we're going to create this neutral accent. And they end up making something that they all accepted over there, but then the other area, they're like, what the heck is this? And it's years later, they're still like, what the heck is this? Because, neutral accent is accepted where people speak it. Well, I hear many times, like in Puerto Rico, for example, I can tell you when they speak about Despierta America, that program that many all Hispanic know in North America, that Despierta America, he had an accent, and there's some who speak like that, and they're like, why is that person speaking like that? I mean, she's from Puerto Rico, she's from the mountain, why is that speaking like that? So there's always controversy. What's the neutral at this point in my life? I know it's from the industry, but I don't think there's a real definition of neutral accent because that keeps changing every 6 months. And by area and by influence and by network growing with the network era, there's a big exchange of culture and ideas, and that also affects. So we need like another 2 hours to speak about natural.
No, I mean, I could go into like why do British people sound American when they sing, you know, or why do some Spanish singers, why do they lose their accents and why do they start sounding like they're from Latin America, you know? And so, it's interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of like historical background to it, or just like vocal identity, maybe just like some of the quirks in each accent just sort of go away, you know, whenever you start singing, because singing is a very uninhibited, like it's a very freeing activity. And so you don't really think about whether you're doing an accent or not. It just kind of comes out of you randomly. And that's something that I'm sure could be talked about by someone who's a linguist. I wish I knew more. I know just enough to speak the language, and eventually I will come upon a word that I don't remember. I feel like that's a big problem in some bilinguals, though. It's not just the Spanish. I know there's the Japanese live action actor for Zoro in One Piece, Makenyu. I've seen some interviews of him, and he speaks fluent Japanese and English, like no accent in English, no accent in Japanese, and then he comes, or I guess he's American neutral in English, and he goes back to Japan, and he'll just be talking to Japan like, and he'll go prep, and then the host will look at him like, prep. You know, like he didn't understand what he just said, and McKinney has to take like another 10 seconds to like, oh no, it's this word, you know. But they look at him like he's insane whenever he starts speaking English. But I feel like that's a big bilingual problem. Like it's
bilingual.
Yeah, it's a bilingual. That we try and communicate back to our parents or something, and you know. And that happens to my parents too. They'll start talking to me in Spanish, and they'll try and say something in English, and then I'll be like, what's the word? And then I'll be like, I don't know, man. I don't know what the Spanish word means.
Yeah, something feeling.
I often have to Google the words. I'm like, I know the word, just not in this language.
Oh yeah.
Talking about
I'll do it for both Spanish and English, depending on what I'm talking about. I'm like, if I'm talking in Spanish, I'm like, oh, I know it in English, but I don't know it in Spanish. Let me Google it. Same thing.
There's one word. What's the word? There's one word that I have that exact problem with. That I know what it is in Spanish, and I have no clue what it is in English. I always forget it. What is it?
What is it in Spanish?
I'm trying to remember what the word is, though. Like, what is it? I know it if I saw it. Mantel. Mantel. I don't know what is
Tablecloth.
Yeah, I don't call this tablecloth. I call it mantel. I have no
mat?
clue. Mat.
Table mat. Or place
Mantel,
mat.
man. Mantel is just it's more fun to say too.
Yeah, I haven't used that word in English before, so it would be like just a stock, like fail operation. But moving on to talking about challenging with location regency. Example of bilingual. What a latest series that became a trend thanks to TikTok and many platforms. Talking about chilling in another world with level 2 super chill power. We had the main character of Flio. And I said TikTok because the series is good. But damn, I saw so many dance of these characters in TikTok. And I feel like really have an influence in the marketing. So how you describe this isekai series?
So this isekai is kind of fun because it kind of sets itself up to be one thing and it just doesn't do it, but in like a good way. It sort of sets itself up to be sort of like another one of those, it's your classic harem isekai, main character shows up, he's OP, tons of girls surround him, you choose who's your favorite, you know? But yeah, it's kind of funny. Just off episode, the whole first episode is just him establishing like the world and stuff, which was a lot of fun because that was a long session for me. I'd never had a session that long in one day. But episode 2, you meet at the end of episode 1, you meet what's going to become like his gang, his friend group, and his wife Fenris, who is like this wolf demon. And in episode 2, they basically agreed to be like fake married, but she thinks that they're like for real married like the whole time, which is hilarious. And he's just like, this is a little weird, but like I'm into it, so I'm not gonna say no. I really like it because while some of the fights are a little short for my taste, I do really, really, really love like just pure monogamous like romance between two characters. It's a really, really sweet to see Fenris and Flio's like relationship grow. At some point, there's like this like Twitter poll about like anime something or other, and they had the fans had voted Flio and Fenris as the top couple of the season at one point, one week, and I was like, hell yeah, dude, that's what I want to see. Flio even managed to crack the top 10 characters, which is hilarious for an isekai character. So I was really, really happy with that. And Flio and Fenris stayed like the whole 12, 13 weeks that it ran. They stayed in that top 10 couple thing that whole time, which is funny because there were a lot of like returning animes that had like couples and stuff. So it was really, really cute to see that the fans were resonating with their relationship as much as I did. Flio and Fenris are goals for anybody. Fenris is just like so head over heels for Flio, and then I think Flio like falls harder in the end, which is real cute. And yeah, I mean, in terms of isekai, I like it's not too different, you know. It's OP character gets OP power, which is to copy literally everything he learns. But it's not the powers and fights that you get appreciation for the show, but it's the characters. And I really love the characters. They're a fun bunch.
And I love two things I really love about the main characters he was very chill. I mean, the title say chilling in our work. He's very chill, but we saw a few times where he almost lose it, and he will like perfect. He's about to lose control here, which it was great to see that balance of going from light to darkness many times. And like you mentioned, Freydance, she was chill. She was a partner like, no, there's more care here. Who the hell this she is? Why she's here? And I saw their jealousy from the beginning. It was like, perfect. I appreciate that because she was ready to fight for his guy. And even that, I know, it's kind of weird to see harems with the main girl like, who's this? Get the hell out of here. Or step back. And the comedy is there.
Mm-hmm.
You have comedy, nice balance. The lineup of character, voice actor dub is premium. Like all characters involved here are voice actor with career. We've seen it on the series. We speak with many of them before, which was great to see again. The series like this. What would be the most funny, the first funny scene that crossed your mind a bit on this series? Because there's a lot of moments here.
The funniest scene that, in my opinion, in the whole show is when I think it's like episode 6 where Flio and Fenris, they have this super heartfelt moment where Fenris is scared that Flio is going to go back to his homeworld, and Flio's like, nah, man, I'm not going if I can't take you with me. And it's super sweet, super solemn. And right as about they're gonna get down to business, Maganda Marie's character, Hia, walks in, or you just hear the door creak like, and then they both go like, huh? And they turn around and they just see Hia fucking creeping in the corner, and I just go, whoa! And then Megan Shipman does a fantastic job. You're like, how long have you been standing over there? And then she's like, the entire time. And you're like, the whole time? So she creeped on their super cute, wholesome, romantic moment, and she was about to watch him do it. So, but her character's a perv. So I mean, it's really funny that she just happens to be so like perverted for no reason. And she shows no emotion too when she's talking about it. Like she was like, what do you mean? Like mating is perfectly normal. And I'm like, no, this is not normal. You gotta go. And she's like, okay, but what if I'm really quiet? And we're like, no. So that I think is probably like the funniest moment in the series. Especially when you cut away to the group, the rest of the group, and they're like behind a wall, and they can like, they're not like putting their ear to the wall or anything. They can just hear them screaming about Hia interrupting it, and then they're like, can't they be a little more quiet or something? I don't know. That gave me the giggles for a good couple days after recording it.
No, definitely that character, Shafa. There's a few characters here that they don't speak too much, but when they speak, they throw the punchline right where it had to hit.
Oh so, yeah, no, he is one of those characters that is just pure comedic relief. And it's funny because she gets introduced as this like horrible villain in the beginning, but then like she joins the gang and she's like, oh no, I'm a silly little pervert. That's it.
And moving on to one of the latest series we're going to talk today, talking about sugar, sweetest and beautiful scenario. Talking about Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, we had a character of Orland Langston. For those who haven't seen this Sugarly series, how would you describe it?
It's very sweet, very shoujo, and surprisingly bloody. There's a lot of violence in it, but I guess that's just sort of the fantasy aesthetic that it's going for. So sugary sweet and surprisingly bloody is how I would describe it. The romance between Anne and her tall, slender, and handsome fairy companion. I'm forgetting his name. I don't know why. But It's very, very wholesome to see. And what I really liked about Sugar Apple's English dub specifically is that it had a lot of Latino talent. You saw the 2 leads were Latino, which doesn't happen a lot. Celeste Perez and I can't believe I'm forgetting.
Ivan Yasso.
Yes, Ivan Yasso. Exactly. Yes. He doesn't do a lot of anime, which so I'm glad that he got brought on for this. But yeah, and then I got brought in for it. My boy Ryan Negron was also brought on for it, and just a lot of Latino talent were present within the show. It was really, really cool to see. And the director Sean Gann is he loves Latino talent. He loves getting people of color and minorities. He loves giving us chances to shine, and because we've been a sort of, I guess, underrepresented in anime for a long time. And so you'd have the occasional one Latino in one show, or one black person in one show, but now we're getting to see a lot more people, and we're even booking leads, which is crazy. So I'm really, really happy to see directors embrace the times and understand that talent comes in all forms, colors, and shapes, and voices. And so I'm really, really happy with Sugar Apple Fairy Tale as a big example of that. And season 2, the core 2, which I'm a part of, is really sweet. It's really, really sweet. It's Anne getting on her own 2 feet as someone who it has to be more important in the sugar confection creating world. She got her sugar master star, but what the hell does that mean if she's not the guild master or of some sugar artisan workshop or something, so she's learning to stand on her own 2 feet, which she's been doing the whole show, but she's never had to run a group of people before, so she's very out of her element. And it's interesting to see her go through that and try and save the workshop, and at the same time experience all this fairy drama and all the fairy lore that's going around.
Yeah, it's definitely Sugar Fairy Tale, one of the Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. One of those series that really surprised me, honestly. I thought it was going to be very girly, and I'm like, maybe that's going to hit on me. And maybe because, again, the novella plot running me. So I'm like, whoa, the drama is here, good. So one of those sit down to chill, but also to see some Toxica character get involved. Toxicos too, because there's a guy that we all hate him. Even season 2, I'm like, why this guy still here? Why you trusting this guy? Any female or male friend next to you will be like, send this guy the hell out of here. But anyway, leaving the drama. Mauricio, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great time. For those who are considering the voice acting, any words of advice, or just for the audience, for the fans out there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for word of advice for any voice actor who's looking to break in to any aspect of the industry, have a lot of patience, because if you don't have that patience or that sort of will to keep going when you have a crazy dry spell, which will happen, man. I might have been looking great over here in Dallas for a good bit, but in LA, where I have my agent and I've been auditioning for months, I haven't booked crap until this month. I booked 2 things this month, which is awesome, but I didn't book anything within the last 3 or 4 months. And so it can be rough, or maybe I'm popping off in LA and I'm not doing crap over here. The industry is always changing. It's always changing. It's always evolving. And sometimes your voice just isn't what they're looking for some characters, and sometimes you're lucky and it's exactly what they're looking for in a lot of characters. So just understand that even if you're just auditioning for indie projects, or maybe you're only doing commercial, or maybe you're only doing video games, just know that your voice is unique, and it's something that someone eventually is going to want to hear. And so just keep going, and eventually you're going to get to be exactly where you want to be.
Awesome. for those who haven't followed you yet, which social media can they follow you?
So actually, how can I point? Where am I pointing? Here. Yeah. So actually, right there, Mau Ortiz Segura, that is my Twitter handle. And so you can find me on there. I'm usually tweeting about Pokemon or animes that I'm in. If not, I'm also on Instagram at also Mau Ortiz Segura. Mau.Ortiz Segura. Yeah, those are my two main social medias. I guess the Blue Sky is a thing now. Blue Sky, same handle as Twitter. But you can't tweet about Blue Sky on Twitter because Elon will block you out.
Really?
You can't what? I'm sorry, you can't what?
You can't tweet about Blue Sky on Twitter.
Wait, when you say block you, what do I mean? Like the post
he won't block you, but I tweeted a post recently, and the last time I tweeted a post about a print that got like 150 likes, and I was expecting sort of the same activity, but in the thread below it, I tried to get away with it. I said, "Oh, Instagram," and I did an emoji of like a circle blue, and I did a cloud to like say Blue Sky, and that post only got like 26 likes. So don't.
He's suppressing it. I see.
Yeah, don't talk about Blue Sky on Twitter. It'll ruin your engagement. That's my fun social media fact of the day. So don't talk about Blue Sky on Twitter. Elon doesn't like it. He saw that mass exodus that happened where like 1 million people joined Blue Sky like 2 days ago, and he was like, "Oh God, I gotta do something." So
yeah, keep charging people. Go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
We're moving away from Twitter before Onyx keeps going.
If you want to
Pokemon,
post anything about this on Twitter, Joe post the part where I talk about Blue Sky.
Let's not continue. I might go political here, and I might.
Wait, no. What's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon.
Before we go,
my favorite Pokemon of all time gotta be Torterra. I fucking love Torterra.
YouTube doesn't block you that much yet. So, you have any challenge finding Mauricio website, Twitter, Blue Sky? You can go down to the description of this video and you will find the link right over there to Blue Sky. You will be there just for fun. And we humbly ask you, we humbly beg you for your subscribe to YouTube. We're not asking you, we're begging at this point for your subscribe on YouTube. And you can also follow us on all our social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitter X, Blue Sky, Twitch. Just go to Google, you can find us, and who knows which the next convention going to be hitting around, because you never know. We even don't know we're going to be right here. So, Mauricio, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
And we will see you in the next episode. Sayonara.
bye.